welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a tutorial on this yellow halo eye, and I just feel like it's the perfect time to do a tutorial because we are right in spring and we're getting ready for summer, which is gonna come super fast before we know it. So I really wanted to take the time to create this really fun yellow look. I've been obsessed with this. Fun fact, I've literally done this look 6 times already. So if you're ready for an in-depth tutorial, then please go ahead and continue watching because I know you want to learn how to create this yellow gorgeousness. I feel like yellow's so in right now, so I'm just like, yes for yellow. We are going to start off with our eyes. So the first thing I like to do is just go ahead and prep my eyes. Now, I don't use anything spectacular. I sometimes use foundation, sometimes I use concealers, but today I'm gonna be using the Kat Von D Lock It Foundation. And the reason I'm using this to prime my eyelids is because I like how it's a thicker consistency. It's also like not gonna budge whatsoever, so everything's gonna stay on top really nicely. And I also like the fact that this foundation is so pigmented, so it allows the shadows to really showcase their color. And as you can see, it's very, very bright. And I really recommend just kind of dragging it outward as much as possible so it kind of blends out with the rest of your skin tone. Now that we have our base color, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the brush. We're gonna be using this Peach Pearl brush. I like it because it's super fluffy, but it's also still kind of pointed, so it really knows where to put that color on. And the first color we're gonna be using is from the Jaclyn Hill palette. It's gonna be this color right here. This like mustard yellow, and we are honestly just gonna place that color all over our crease like this. And I feel like I always like to use colors like this onto my crease because it sets the tone for the direction of color that we're using. It has that yellow to it, but it's still not like an intense yellow. I feel like when you just place an intense yellow to begin with without kind of like a base eyeshadow color, it can not look as pigmented as you want it to. So I feel like me doing this first and then placing a brighter yellow on top is really helpful. And you're just going to be placing this from one side to the other side. But the key to this look is really making sure that you blend as much as possible and really diffuse the yellow into the area where you want to stop. So this is my stopping point right here, which is why I like to use a very fluffy blending brush to create this crease work. Now the next step that I like to do is use concealer. Where's my concealer? Here it is. Use concealer to start to cut out my crease. So if you guys saw the pictures of the look that I posted on Instagram, it looks very, very clean. And I feel like that's the key to this halo eye. Now this is my favorite concealer to use to cut my crease. Fun fact, I don't use this concealer on my under eyes. I like to use my other concealers. I like to use this to cut the crease, and I think the main reason I like to do that is because this concealer dries super fast, so I don't have to wait too long for it to go ahead and dry. And now I'm gonna be taking my favorite brush to do this. This is the Delium Tools Bold Lip Brush 552. This is for the lip, like it says, but I like to use it to cut my crease. I feel like it's so tiny and precise that it really gets in there and cuts the crease so perfectly. So that's why I like to use this brush. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of product and I'm gonna begin cutting the crease. And you really wanna be careful with this part because you want to make the lines as clean and precise as possible so you really get that really good, clean cut crease. Now I went ahead and cut my crease so they are looking super nice and sharp. And now we're gonna be taking the Meet Matte Nude palette by The Balm Cosmetics. We're gonna be taking this shade right here, which is the white shade. You guys can tell it's very well loved. There's almost like a little dent there. It's like the perfect white shade. It's like the whitest shade I own. So we're gonna put that all over our crease. I mean, not our crease, our lid. We are just going to use that to really set our concealer because we don't want any creasing. And also, like I mentioned, when you apply a color first down and then use the color that you're gonna be using, it's always better because it picks up that pigmentation 10 times better. For our lid space, we're gonna be using the yellow in the Huda Beauty Electric Obsessions palette. It's this yellow right here. It's honestly one of the most pigmented palettes I've ever used. Okay, so I'm gonna be taking this Morphe brush. This is the M506, and we're gonna be taking the yellow, which is another color that I use quite often, so it's gonna hit pan pretty soon. And we're just gonna start kind of applying that yellow on the outer edges, just the outer edges, like the very beginning of the outer edge. And you can see how pigmented that yellow looks. And you can start to fade it into the middle, but be very mindful that in the center, we're going to be applying another color. Kind of want to apply it so that it can have the V shape in the middle, so it doesn't look so harsh. Okay, and once we've placed the outer edges of our lid on, we want to go ahead and start to work on the middle part, which would be the halo of the eye. So we're gonna dig back into our Jaclyn Hill palette, and we're gonna be taking this shade right here, which is a nice like shimmer light shade, and we're just going to be applying that on the center. And you really just want to diffuse it out. It doesn't have the shimmer that I want yet, so what I have been doing whenever I do this look is I use the Gold Light, which is the MAC Fix Plus that I actually just reviewed. And because I use it because it has more of that like pigmented shimmeriness that I'm looking for, which adds onto the pigmentation of the color that's already going on. So I like to use that for shadows now. And I kind of just use 2 sprays. And I let that kind of soak up for a minute because you don't want to put it straight on because sometimes it can be too wet. And then I go back into the palette and I start to really push that color in. And we see more of that pigmentation. And you don't have to be like as pigmented as like can be on this part, because for this part, we're going to be applying something else on top. I really like to make sure that when I am up here, like right where the crease meets my lid, I like to really carve that out as much as I possibly can. You see how like I like to really sharpen that up. I feel like that's a big factor to making this look really come to life and look super clean. I love it already. It's coming to life. I'm gonna go back in with the yellow and tap off any extra. Just kind of clean up the edge in case there may be like some work that needs to be cleaned up. And then the last thing we're gonna do on the eyelids is we're gonna go back in with our MAC 242 brush, and we're gonna dive into this nice loose highlight by Artist Couture in the shade Cocoa Bling. And I feel like it just added the perfect touch. So what I like to do is I like to go back in with my MAC Fix Plus in Gold Light. Spray, 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 spray. And just press it. You don't want to like swipe it. You just want to press it, because if you swipe it, it can start to get on everything else. So I just press. Now you don't have to use this highlight. You can use anything that's kind of a little bit more sparkly than just the shimmer shadow. I would just say be very careful applying it, because you definitely still want to keep the cleanness of the look. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the skin. So we're going to be using 2 products today. We're going to be using our LA Colors Truly Matte Foundation, and we're going to be using our Fenty Beauty Primer. So we're going to go in with Fenty Beauty. And like I mentioned a lot in my reviews, I like to use this when I feel like my skin needs a little bit extra hydration. When I'm using a foundation that's already a good matte foundation, I kind of like something underneath that's more hydrating but still keeps the foundation on all day. So I'm gonna be taking the LA Colors Truly Matte Foundation. This is in the color Warm Honey, and I really love this stuff. I actually reviewed this a few months ago, but I've fallen in love with it again, and it's just always hard to stick to one foundation when you're constantly reviewing products. So it's good when you like rediscover a foundation that you were really loving at one point. Just love how automatically it starts covering up all that redness. This is definitely a thicker consistency, and I wouldn't recommend this to anybody that has dry skin, because it will not look nice. It will definitely cling on to your skin and have dry patches. But if you have oily skin, this is like God's gift. And also, this foundation is extremely affordable. So Can't go wrong. Okay, so the foundation is on, and now we're gonna move on to our concealer. So for concealer today, I'm actually going, where is my concealer? I'm going to be using the KKW Beauty Concealer, and this is in the shade number 6. It's actually not bad concealer. I feel like it's really good with brightening, so can't go wrong with that. Where's my, here we go, my sponge. And I'm just gonna go ahead and cover my under eyes. I love a good brightening concealer. Okay, and I'm just gonna take the KKW Beauty brush that they were selling as well, because I really like that for getting in this inner corner right here. I feel like it's really good for that, because I feel like my sponge tip is a little too fat for that. So I really like to go in there with that. And then I'm just gonna take and kind of just round it up so it's not so messy. And per usual, I'm gonna be using my sponge and my Patrick Star powder. And I just like to leave that on for as long as possible so that I really have no creasing. If you guys suffer from creasing and you haven't tried this technique, you need to try it because it actually makes a big difference. And we're gonna go ahead and just highlight a little bit around the face. We're gonna really go into our center part. Just down the bridge of the nose like that. Now for my nose highlight, I like to go in with the brush again. And the reason I like to use the brush is because the brush is very precise. So I'm able to really get in there. And I just like to kind of like move the extra around my nose. And then I like to take my sponge. And then I put the sponge away. And then we're gonna go in and start to bronze up a little bit. So for bronzer, I'm going to be using the Balm Cosmetics bronzer in Oscar. Apply this around my forehead. I just like to really warm up my face. I'm like all about dimension. I feel like when the face just looks straight up one color, I'm just kind of like, just to like to add warmth where it needs to be. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and do very subtle nose contour. I'm using my KKW sticks in medium. I use these every single day. So let the contour sit there for a minute while we let that kind of like simmer in. We're gonna go ahead and use these two blushes. This one is the California. They're both by Benefit, and then this one is Gold Rush. So first I like to go in with California, which is this pretty like corally pink. And I know it looks kind of like intimidating in here, but once it's on, it looks very pretty. I feel like it's gonna also be the perfect summer blush. And I like to take a little tiny bit, not too much, just enough to add some color around the face. And then we're gonna be taking Gold Rush, which is more of a lighter pink, but it also has this nice reflex of shimmer, which I am a big fan of. Now we're gonna go back in and just kind of start to fix up the nose contour and blend it out. And then I like to go back in with my Morphe sponge because it has a little bit of foundation. I like to kind of blend out the nose once I blended it out with my brush. And now we're gonna go ahead and dust off our baking. Okay, so for lashes, I'm gonna be applying my Intoxicating Lashes by Flutter Lashes. I like these because they're very long and they flare out, but they still allow you to see what's going on behind the lash. Okay, one lash is on and the other one is about to come on, but you can see lash makes a big difference. Okay, so our lashes are on, but now we're gonna move on to the highlighting part, which I'm super excited about. So first we're gonna go ahead and highlight our brow bone. We're gonna be using the same color that we used on our lid. We're gonna just pop this onto the high points of our brow, and it's really gonna add like that really pretty intensity on there. And for that, I'm gonna be using my MAC Fix Plus, just to kind of make sure that it really goes on there, kind of like stays put. And we're just gonna pop that right over here. Love it. I'm gonna pop a little bit more. Okay, so my camera legit had no more storage, so I had to go upstairs and export my videos and then come back down and finish up my hair, while that was processing, and now we can move on to the last two parts. So we're gonna be using two products. First, we're gonna go ahead and use the Resi Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighter, and we're just gonna pop this highlight, yes, right here. Look at that, that is amazing. And then just a little tiny bit on my nose. And then we're gonna go in with the Artist Couture Cocoa Bling. And we're just gonna use what's left on the lid. Can we just talk about how good that looks? The last thing we're gonna go ahead and do is our lip. So for lip, I wanna keep it super neutral. So I'm just gonna be taking the KKW Beauty Mario Collection lipstick in Classic K. It's legit right next to me, so I was like, why not? I'm just gonna apply this. I have to say the creaminess of this lipstick is amazing. So this part is optional, you don't have to do it, but it makes a big difference. I can't believe I almost forgot this part. I feel like the yellow at the bottom really makes the eye like pop out a little bit more. So the very last thing I'm gonna do for good now is apply setting spray. So I'm gonna be using the All Nighter Urban Decay setting spray. So far I liked it, I used it once and it actually worked really well. So let's try it one more time. So this concludes my tutorial. I went super in depth. Originally it was just gonna be like an eye look, nothing else, but I was like, you know what, let me show them how I've been doing everything because I really wanted to go in depth with everything that I was talking about today. That being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video, and don't forget to give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed watching my tutorials. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. I would love for you to become a member of family here on YouTube because I wouldn't want you guys to miss a video for the world. And if you are subscribed or you're subscribing, don't forget to hit the notification bell sign so that you're notified every time I upload new videos, so that you don't miss them as soon as they come out. So I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon for a brand new video. Bye guys.